Assalamu alaikum. You're tuned in to Sajdah's Monday Morning Motivation. And our theme for this week is, first, you gotta love yourself. So like, subscribe, grab a friend, and we'll be right back to talk about and empower you on how you can do a better job at loving yourself.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum. Grand Rising. Happy Monday. Welcome to Sajdah's Monday Morning Motivation. I know it's Memorial Day and a lot of y'all don't have to work, but for those of us that do for self, most of us are up and getting ready to do something for ourselves today. And guess what? Even if you ain't got to go to work, if you don't have another person over dominion over you today, take dominion over yourself and do something for yourself. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's theme or the theme for the week is first, love yourself. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this subject came to be downloaded to me. We're going to talk through some of my notes. Sometimes, as I'm meditating and I get these downloads, I write down the notes. And we're going to read a segment from a beautiful book written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it talks about first, love yourself. We're going to read that segment. So anyway, I don't know what y'all drinking today. I got some cold calendula tea sweetened with a little agave sweetener. The calendula is my secret skin weapon. I love it. I love calendula oil, and then I love the flowers that I actually boil and steep, and I make a tea, and I drink that tea. Okay, so here's the deal. Most of us are in positions where there is somebody or something that we've given dominion over our life. Okay, we live in a very dominion-based society anyway. Whether it's your job, whether it's a parent, whether it's a husband, whether it's a wife, whether it's your church, some religious thing that you're a part of, but something that you've given dominion over your life. Okay. And this can be challenging. Don't get me wrong. There are rules and laws that, of course, we have to adhere to and submit to. And if you're part of an organization, of course, that's very important. But you have to learn to use, we have to learn to use the energy that's out here in the universe to learn how to love ourselves. Very interesting topic, because I was really studying the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on this topic. And I said, man, he said, first, love yourself. Did I put this up here? I did not put that. Let me put this in the chat. While I'm doing this, make sure you guys like and subscribe. If you enjoy this information, then make sure that you tell a friend and give a love offering. But first, love yourself. I was dealing with the last couple of days. I've been really working through what I would call some spiritual blockages in my own personal life. And what I realized was that while I just decided to really buckle down and talk through it and meditate through it and energy shift through it, what I realized was that there was a point in my life where I began to accept myself. Again, accept your own, be yourself. And as I began to accept who I am, I began to elevate, and my energy began to change. And I started to draw massive amounts of goodness and wealth and success to myself. And over a little bit of time, I started to lose people. I started to lose loved ones. I started to lose what I thought were friends. And the mistake that I made was instead of looking at it like maybe their connection to you was just for a season, I started to get my feelings hurt because people were falling off and falling out of my life as my energy changed, as I began to really elevate. And in a lot of ways, I don't even know that they really knew the massive amount of abundance and blessings that I was receiving as a result of accepting myself. And being honest, about what I wanted. So I started to panic a little bit, to be completely honest with you. And because I said, I don't want to be successful and alone. I didn't understand what was happening. And as a single sister, looking for a relationship, looking for a man, I was like, man, if my family and friends are falling off, then maybe there would be no opportunity there. And because I'd spent so much time not really thinking about being in a relationship, that when I accepted myself, I realized that I wanted one. So that was part of it too. And so when people started falling off, and the way they were falling off was they would just make up something in their head to be mad about, or come up with something to be jealous about. And they're not even in the competitive arena with me to even justify the jealousy. It was just a lot of weird dynamics. And to this day, a lot of those people probably couldn't even tell you, other than something they made up in their head, what their problem is. And so because that started to bother me, I gave that dominion over my life. And I gave up some of my sovereignty as an individual. Now, what do I mean by that? Part of my sovereignty as an individual, and as it should be for all of us, is what I showed up on the planet to do, how I interact with the universe, how I see my spiritual leaders and what I believe my assignment is, how I move through the world. That's my sovereignty. My ability to change my energy and change my molecular structure, whether it's because I don't feel good, I know how to go in and change my molecular structure so I feel better, whether it's because I'm tired, whether it's because it's something I wanted to do. And so I could take something in my mind and just boom, it would manifest. I started doing it for other people with their businesses. But I began to struggle because I was disappointed in the falling away, or the way that I felt like people were acting. My mistake. Because how people respond to you is really a response to how they feel about themselves. But I took it all in. I took ownership of it. And then I started to begin to see changes in my life, challenges that I had never had before. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I realized this was happening. And I realized that in that process, I began to struggle to love myself. Love myself meaning to exist in my sovereignty as an individual. Now, what creates our sovereignty as individuals? It's our ego, right? And I'm not talking about ego that makes you just go crazy and be mean and self-centered and abusive and narcissistic. That's not what the ego is for. That's an abuse of the ego. The ego is to help create and maintain your sovereignty as an individual. So, who you are, what you showed up on the planet to do, to be, your name, you are a sovereign individual in that body. You have a massive connection, right, to forces outside of yourself, but you are a sovereign individual. You're not the same as me. You're not the same as your sister or your brother. And so, in maintaining that sovereignty, you then begin to take care of the vessel that you're in. You then begin to take care of your heart, your spirituality. You begin to love yourself because you're not a slave. You don't belong to somebody else. No one else owns you and should be controlling you. So that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, first, we have to love ourselves. Now, when we get to the point where our ego gets so big and so out of control to the point where it edges God out, then we have a problem. So as I started to work through some of this, with myself, one of the things that I've always told myself since I was a little girl, that I wasn't mortal, that I was like, I'm a God. I always said that, even before I understood the language. And when I heard the words, we are made in the image and likeness of God with the big G, I was like, yep, I get that. Because if we got an apple pie and the apple pie is called apple pie, and you take a slice of it and put it on the plate, it's still apple pie. It ain't the apple pie, but it's still apple pie. And I know that language scares people, but I want to share with you some of my notes, okay? As I began to work through taking back my power, regaining my individual sovereignty, and realigning with myself and my gifts. And let me also help you with this. If you're going through this, it's not a bad thing. See, life is a cycle, and all of these things are designed to help us get to that next level. Since I declared that I was a God as a little girl, I'm in the process of the making of a God. And so that requires contrast. It requires struggle. It requires the expansion and the contraction. And so I went through a contraction period when people started to fall away from me as I began to elevate and accept myself, accept my gifts, accept who I am, accept how I look, accept everything, and accept things that I desired. And again, I was befuddled in many cases by how people would just come up with things. Because I'm the kind of person, before I fall away from you, I'm going to call you. I'm going to ask hey, you want to go have dinner? And I want to say, you know what? I'm struggling with this about you. Or the other day when we was on the phone, I know you had to go, but you hung up on me. And that gives you a chance to say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hang up on you. I had somebody at the door and I was trying to get it really quickly, or I was trying to click over on a phone call and I was just trying to get to it. And I'm sorry if I hung up abruptly. And then you can go, okay. But what was happening to me was this people manufacturing stuff in their head. And then I hear about it like a year later, 6 months later, and I'm like, huh? Like, what? You thought what? You what? Are you kidding me? Especially when during this period of elevation in my life, I have been so focused um, that, doing something crazy is the last thing. So here's some of my notes. Um, if you're struggling to love yourself, first love yourself. And we're going to go deep into this because I want to talk about using energy to love ourselves. All right. Most of the time, it's because you do not have sovereignty over your life. You have to shift your reaction to things. What do I mean by that? Let's say somebody gets angry with you and they're not speaking to you because they thought you hung up on them. This happened to me before. I was on the phone with somebody and there was a call I had been waiting for all week that was coming through. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I got to go. I'll call you right back. And I clicked right on over to grab that call. Well, this person got upset with me, stopped talking to me because they said I thought I was all that because I hung up on them. Had they just asked me, I would have given me an opportunity to apologize and explain what happened. But things will happen to you. It's all about your reaction. How do you react? What I did was I reacted like this. Man, why would they do that? They never know what I went into victim mode. But here's a better reaction. If that's how they felt, they must have been going through something. That has no reflection of me. If they don't want to give me an opportunity to apologize, I'm going to apologize to them through the universe, but I have to keep moving. Their absence, their being upset, it's not going to have anything to do with me. So I learned that shifting my reaction to things. I had somebody ask me for a ridiculous amount of money the other day. And instead of going, who you think I am? I ain't your damn ATM. I laughed. I laughed. And I said, it's wonderful that you believe that I have those resources to give you that amount of money. And it's wonderful that you believe that my heart is golden enough to give it to you. But at this moment, I can't give you that six figure that you're looking for. And that was an answer I would give whether I have it or don't. So that's just shifting the reaction. Because what did I just do? I put out there to the universe that my heart is golden, that you know it, you believe it, that I have access to six figures to give you, even if I don't, right? I put that out there to the universe so the universe can respond to something else. I don't want the universe to respond to who the hell you think I am. Are you out of your mind? Because that is sometimes our first reaction. And I had that happen to me too, where I had that kind of reaction. So now what am I sending out there to the universe? That this person is out of their mind, that I'm talking to this person that's out of their mind. They're being ridiculous. It's bad energy, right? But I have sovereignty over myself. And the sovereign me says, you know what? Thank you for believing that it was okay to ask me for $1 million. Thank you for that. That's the energy I'm sending out. But here's what I did when I was experiencing some of this. I started judging myself. Because as I gave up my sovereignty, as I started to wallow in a little bit of self-pity, I started to judge myself. What is it about me? What could I do better? And the judgment cut me off from my flow and the internal collaboration within me. So you know how in our study guides we talk about the God within. The God within is always seeking to collaborate with you. But when you judge yourself, you pinch off and stop that collaboration. Making a mistake, like when I made the mistake and accidentally hung up before my friend could say bye because I was trying to get to another call, they have to be met with love. You have to meet your mistakes with love. It doesn't do any good to beat yourself up. It doesn't do any good to be upset with yourself. What you have to do is meet yourself with love. Man, I was in a state where I was so anxious for that phone call that I stepped on somebody else's toes. And that wasn't good. Instead of going, girl, what is wrong with you? And, beating yourself up. But mistakes have to be met with love. Mistakes have to be met with love. Here's something I say all the time that came to me. Stop worrying. You don't know enough to worry. Something can always happen that you know nothing about. Because once you start to have the wrong reaction to things, and you don't react out of love for yourself. First, love yourself. You don't react out of love for yourself. And you don't take actions to love yourself. If you know you overate, what's the action to love yourself? Get back on track the next day. Get your workout in. Take your herbs. Get yourself together. Figure out, was that emotional eating? Those are actions to love yourself. Or you can beat yourself up. Say, you're just fat. You're going to always be fat. You won't never eat right. You can do that. You can start, or you can use deceptive intelligence. It don't matter no way. I can fast for 20 days and never lose no weight. So if I eat such and such, it don't even matter. You can do that. But we have to practice reacting with love. First, love ourselves. But what happens is when we have the wrong reactions, the wrong reaction causes the wrong reaction from the universe. So now we don't get what we want. Now things aren't quite working out for us. We're a little stressed out. We're worrying, right? And worry and fear, you know what that does? Worry and fear creates a magnetic field. It's like a virus. So when you're worrying and fearful, you spread that to other people by the things you say, by the things that you do, and then they spread it to somebody else. And so we keep spreading. When your mind is constantly focused on what you know, then that expands. What you know you want, when your mind is constantly focused, this is the download that came to me. My handwriting gets a little goofy when I'm receiving those messages. This is the gist of it. What you focus on expands. If you're constantly focused on what you don't want and creating reasons and excuses not to love yourself and not to react with love, then what happens? What you don't want continues to show up in your life, and you get in what they call a reality loop. You're constantly afraid. You're constantly worrying. It's like a person who keeps dating the same type of person over and over again. That's because you keep talking about N-words ain't shit and men ain't this and that and women do this and that. You keep regurgitating what happened to you in the past. And because you keep regurgitating what happened to you in the past, you keep reacting to what happened to you in the past. And if you keep reacting to what happens to you in the past, then you keep producing what happens to you in the past. But if you react to what happened to you out of love, because guess what? If that stuff didn't happen to you, and I know sometimes it's really bad, you wouldn't be who you are today. You wouldn't be the beautiful and amazing person that you are today if those things didn't happen to you back in the day. If you didn't have those experiences, you wouldn't be on a spiritual journey. If you didn't get fired, you probably wouldn't be opening up your business. If you didn't have a bad experience at work, you probably wouldn't be working on stealing away and bridging the gap and opening up your business. So we have to respond to ourselves out of love. You know what? This is happening to me at work because this ain't for me. I might just be unemployable. So let me work on having sovereignty over myself and employing myself. See, we live in a dominion-based society. Many of us are still slaves. Many of us are slaves and we don't know that we're slaves. We're slaves to the system. We're slaves to the media. And they know that all they got to do is get us to worry. All they got to do is to get us to focus on something. And we forget about ourselves. We give up our rights. Okay. I don't really have time to go through all of this, but let me do this. I want to read first, Love Yourself, from the Message to the Black Man. It starts here on page 32. Okay. First, love yourself. Have sovereignty over yourself. Don't give up ownership of yourself to anyone. Even if you're in love and you want to submit, that person can't truly love you unless you show up as your authentic self. If you show up as this fake person who's submitting and don't really want to submit and doing things that you don't really want to do, they can't properly love you. Show up as your authentic self, accept yourself, first love yourself, and then people who truly love you can understand you. But a lot of times when you're showing up as somebody else, they love that somebody else. And then we get mad because they're responding to that somebody else. And you're like, no, I'm here. I had a really important phone call. I was really dealing with trying to get a deal closed. And I was really excited and I accidentally hung up on you. If I'm showing up as that person, then they may say, girl, damn, you just hung up on me. And we can laugh about it. But if I'm showing up fake, like I really got time to sit on the phone in the middle of a negotiation, or I really got time to be who you want me to be in this moment. If I really got time to be fake with you because I think this is what you wanted, and I think this is what I need to do to be in a relationship, or somebody at church, or somebody at the mosque, or somebody at school, or in my sorority told me, this is how you got to show up. You got to play this kind of game. And then when you respond to me in a way that I don't like, then I try to bring my authentic self and explain myself, when if I was being my authentic self first off and foremost, you could love me for who and what I truly am. From the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. One of the gravest handicaps, the word Negro, this book was written in 1965, when the word Negro was very popular. So I don't want y'all to get turned off. I'm going to say people, because I know that the word Negro is charged energetically and it's dated. And I don't want y'all to get thrown off by that. One of the greatest handicaps among people is that there is no love for self, nor love for his or her own kind. You got to remember, especially as Black people in a dominion-based society coming up out of slavery, Our sovereignty is not ours. We have not taken ownership of ourselves. And in 1965, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying that among the so-called Negroes, this is one of the biggest problems. So today I'm going to say, so among people. This not having love for self is the root cause of hate, dislike, disunity, disagreement, quarreling, betraying, stool pigeons, and fighting and killing one another. Listen up, because Black people are the biggest murderers of one another. It's because we don't first love ourselves. Somebody else has dominion over us. We don't have sovereignty over ourselves. We're doing what we've been programmed to do. But when we first learn to love ourselves, we'll come out of all of that. How can you be loved if you have not love for self and your own nation and dislike being a member of your own? Then what nation will trust your love and membership? So who's going to accept you into their nation if you don't love yourself? You don't even love your own other Black people. You got to love yourself. Because we don't love ourselves, we see people who look like ourselves and we don't love them. So it's easy to murder somebody over a bicycle, to carjack them, shoot them, beat an elderly person, because we don't love ourselves. You say of yourself, I love everybody. This cannot be true. Love for self comes first. The Bible, the book that you claim to believe, says, love the brotherhood, love one another. Love of self comes first. The one who loves everybody is the one who does not love anyone. This is the false teaching of the Christians, for the Christians war against Christians. If you're a Christian, I don't want you to get offended by that, because what has happened, I just learned this the other day, that Caesar used these propaganda techniques that are being used today in the world, and all the other evil leaders that came after him used these same propaganda techniques to make the people hate themselves, give up sovereignty of themselves, because they're so fearful, because their hate and fear has produced chaos and they don't feel safe. And guess what? They run back to the church. This is why on plantations, many of the larger plantation owners had church, that they instructed the preachers on what to preach that would keep the slaves in fear. This is directly from Julius Caesar and probably somebody else. But if you study Julius Caesar, Hitler did it. They all did it. This is a pattern. And when you understand history, these playbooks generally don't change. So this is what's happening that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is addressing. They gave the Bible so twisted. They have the Bible so twisted by adding in and taking out of the truth that it takes only God, or one whom God has given the knowledge of the book, to understand it. He's speaking of how the Bible has been tampered with for the purposes that I just talked about. Taking certain things out, adding certain things in, like adding stuff in, like Jesus was telling us to obey our slave master. You really think Jesus was saying that? Obey your slave master? The Bible puts more stress upon the love for thy neighbor than the love for the brother. When asked, who is my neighbor? The answer was contrary and incorrect. Jesus' answer was that of two men who were on a journey. They were not from the same place. One was from Jerusalem and the other was was a Samaritan. The Samaritan came to where the man from Jerusalem lay wounded by the robbers who had stripped him of his possessions. Sound familiar? The Samaritan showed sympathy for the fellow traveler. He was not a neighbor in the sense of the word. A neighbor could be an enemy. Many enemies live in the same neighborhood of a good neighbor. But the answer that Jesus gave was a futile one, which could be classified as a parable of the so-called Negroes and their slave masters. The question becomes, did he really say that, or was that added? The so-called Negroes fell into the hands of the slave masters who have robbed, spoiled, wounded, and killed them. The Good Samaritan here would be the Mahdi, or Allah, God in person, as he is often referred to by the Christians as the second coming of Jesus, or the Son of Man to judge man. This one will befriend the poor, the so-called Negroes, and heal their wounds by pouring into their heads knowledge of self and others, and from them of the yoke of slavery, and kill the slave masters, as Jehovah did in the case of Pharaoh and his people, to free Israel from bondage and the false religion and gods of Pharaoh. I hope y'all listening to this, and I hope you're not getting caught up in dogma. I want you to really, really listen to this, because we really, to this day, are going through this. Listen, the media and this system controls us. If we want to love somebody, we can't, because they're telling us who to love, who not to love, through the propaganda that they put out. They're telling us who to marry, what kind of person we should be with, what we should wear, what we should eat, and causing us to do things that don't represent love of self. This is going on right to this day. There are many other proofs in the Bible which agree with the above answer. Love yourself and your kind. Let us refrain from doing evil to each other. And let us love each other as brothers, as we are the same flesh and blood. In this way, you and I will not have any trouble in uniting. It is a fool who does not love himself and his people. Your black skin is the best, and never try changing its color. We need that today, because people taking bleaching creams and wearing makeup 3 shades lighter than themselves, because they don't accept themselves. They don't love who they are. It goes back to when you show up in a relationship trying to be something that you're not, and that person doesn't properly love you, you can't get mad at them, because they can only truly love you if you show up as your authentic self. If you are a very black, dark-skinned person, then that's just who you are. And that's what they got to love. That's what they got to find beauty in. Stay away from intermixing with your slave master's children. Love yourself and your kind. Because a lot of us are so filled with self-hatred that we're not in relationships or interracial relationships because we just met and fell in love with that person, and it was just an unbelievable connection. A lot of us are not there for that. A lot of us are there because we hate ourselves, or we have some kind of fetish born out of our hate for self. If you show up as your authentic self, then you'll know if you truly love somebody despite their culture or their background. I'm just going to keep it real with you. This is very real. A lot of us, it is because we hate ourselves. We've been through trauma, and trauma is because we keep having a reaction over and over and over again to something bad that happened to us. Maybe the person that inflicted this act on us looks like us. And so we start to hate us instead of healing from that and reacting with love, not necessarily love for them, but love for yourself. There's so many of us that have been abused, whether we've been abused in relationships, whether we've been abused in as children growing up, at work. There's a lot of abuse happening out here because the love is not here. And we don't seek love first. So abuse is everywhere. This narcissistic behavior is rampant. Beating and kicking people in hallways and hotels and dragging people down the street. And this stuff is happening every day. And it's happening to the people who are most vulnerable, in most cases, are Black women. We're the least protected. We're the least loved. You go to the police and tell them you got a Black girl missing or a Black woman missing, and they don't pull out all the stops. We see this every day. You can look online. You got hundreds of Black girls and women missing. Ain't nobody even looking for them. Where's the love? Where's the outrage? It doesn't exist. Unfortunately. So that group of society will tend to be abused the worst because, you see, an animal can sniff out its prey, and a narcissist can smell weakness a mile away. And so when they smell that you don't love yourself, guess what? You become prey. You become prey to every predator and every evil energy and every evil spirit out there. I hope y'all hear me. Let me know in the chat if you hear me. But we become prey to that. And that's what happens to us a lot of times as Black women. Now what's happening? It's almost like they want to erase Black men off the planet. And I'm not saying this because, I'm not saying this in response to somebody who's done something wrong. If you're abusing people and mistreating people, you deserve the punishment that comes to you. But I'm talking about when a Black man can't drive down the street without being pulled over or accused of something. If you're part of another race, you may not understand this. You may not understand that we as Black women, every time my nephew says to me, or says to me, I'm going somewhere, I say a special prayer of protection and energy around him. Every time I see young Black men walking down the street, I say a special prayer of protection for them and send them love. They don't even have to know me. I could be sitting at the light and I see some young brothers over there on the corner. I send them love and I send them energy. Why? Because I know just being outside the house, they could be shot by somebody that don't love themselves or by the police who doesn't like them. And the sad part about it doesn't matter who you are. My business partner is a triple fellowship, double board certified surgeon, very Black man. He was sitting in his Mercedes Benz outside of his mother's house. He had just come from the hospital, sitting in his car. He had on his scrubs and his white coat was over the back of his seat. And he was just about to get out of the car, but he got a phone call from the hospital. Somebody was asking him some questions. And he's talking to somebody about the patient. Patient's already, I think the surgery had been in that morning and he had been at the hospital. And then they know now he's at his mom's, going to visit his mom's. His mom's house wasn't too far. He's sitting in his car talking to the hospital. And the police pull up on him, knock on his window, tell him to get out of the car, pull him out of the car, break his wrist because they believed that he was a drug dealer because he was in a Mercedes. They're not looking at his scrubs. They're not looking at anything. They don't even ask for his ID. When they take him to the station, somebody gets his wallet and they see he's got a pocket medical license and some other identification that let them know probably his past in the hospital. And he hears the police in the outside of the holding cell say, "Oh shit, he really is a doctor." The blessed thing is that he's in a position where he was able to pay for a lawyer and sue them and win a lawsuit against them. But a lot of our brothers don't have that. And this particular officer that harassed him was known throughout Washington, D.C. for harassing other brothers. And so many people, when he went to trial, the courtroom was filled with people who was rooting for him because this was happening day in and day out. Now, this ain't what I intended to talk about today, but I know we're at the anniversary of George Floyd. And it's bad enough that other people don't love us, that they see us as prey, that they can shoot us and kill us. They see us as fetishes. They want to be with us, to have sex with us, and to have dominion over us. It's bad enough that we have to go through that when we don't love ourselves. That has to stop. So we have to first love ourselves. And then it'd be easier for us to love one another. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking in that section about Master Fard Muhammad, who came 9,000 miles because to demonstrate his love for us and give us an inheritance. And some of y'all are like, what in the world is she talking about? And I'm sorry if you don't understand that, but there are some of us who do. And guess what? Because we're promoting, let me tell you this, because I am promoting that my people must love themselves first and love one another, does not mean that we don't love anybody else. It don't mean that we hate you. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that if I say I love myself that I don't like you. If I say I love Black people, I love my Blackness, I love my skin color, I wouldn't show up in the world as anything else, it doesn't mean that I hate white people. It doesn't mean that. I'm going to take it a step further, because the media is a beast with this. Just because we're Muslims, we don't hate Christians. We don't hate Jews, Jewish people. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If we're on a mission to love ourselves, we love those who love us. Now, if you're preying on us and you're hating us and you're treating us a certain kind of way, well, now we got to have a conversation. But just out the gate, like we just walk around just hating folks. And let me tell you, mathematically, it don't even make sense. Because we run around hating each other and hating ourselves more than we hate Christians, Jewish people, white people, Indian people, Asian people, because you don't see us killing and doing black on Asian crime, black on white crime. We don't do that. We turn all that hatred into ourselves. So it's real easy to tell who we hate. So you can make up in your head if you want that we hate you, so that you can make an excuse to use your power to have dominion over us. But it's a lie. It's a lie. Unfortunately, most Black people love people who are different from them more than they love themselves, because that's how we've been conditioned. It's just a lie. It's really a lie. And let me tell you something. You'd be better off if you stop lying about it and stop saying we hate you. See, this is what I would do if I was y'all. I say, you know what? You got this group of people out here. They want to unite. They want to love each other. They want to have community together. They don't manufacture everything that they need. They don't make everything that they need. They're going to need people. They're going to need services. They're going to need products. So you know what? I'm going to support them in their unity and their love for each other. They're going to have to buy some stuff from me until they can make it on their own. And even in making it on their own, I might find a product that they have and I can partner with them because they seem to be pretty ingenious. I just don't understand why they don't do that. That means it has to be deeper than that. It has to be deeper than you just think we hate you. You got to know that we don't. There's too many of us who work with you, for you, signed to you. We're not out here bucking the system. In general, Black people, we ain't protesting. We're not killing people outside of our own community, unfortunately. We're not out here trying to hurt y'all. We're not out here retaliating for anything that happened yesterday. Most time we have protests when y'all kill one of us, whether it's Mike Brown or George Floyd, and it's more y'all out there than it is us. We at home watching it on TV. So stop lying. Please stop lying on us. Because we got such a big job of unraveling the programming that has taught us to give up our sovereignty and to give dominion of ourselves over to someone else, to deprogram ourselves, to begin to love ourselves. You're talking hundreds of years of programming. We got such a big job. We ain't got time to think about y'all. We don't talk about y'all in the mosque. We don't talk about y'all in the church. We busy trying to figure out how we can love ourselves. We're not in our sororities talking about y'all. We're not in our fraternities talking about y'all. We're trying to create community service programs so that we can give back. We're trying to figure out how to love ourselves. We're trying to figure out how to heal. We really, honestly are not thinking about y'all. Really, we really are not. So don't flatter yourself by thinking that we hate you. Because believe it or not, when we get ourselves together, we might be right there talking to you about developing a product or service or creating a distribution system for something. Be a friend. You love money. I know you love money. You want to keep your wealth. That's how, then change the lie. Find something else. Because it really, 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 truly is a big lie. Really, really, truly is. You know that we as a people, we are the most accepting and loving. You could come and move into one of our neighborhoods and we ain't gonna bother you probably. You probably have some friends. We are just the most loving and accepting and trusting people. We love and trust everybody but ourselves. Trust me when I tell you, we're not out here plotting, planning, and hating on you. We really, really are not. Really, really are not. And those of us that are Muslims, we are really, really, really working hard to dive into self-improvement so that we can accept our own and be ourselves. That's what our whole mission is really all about. We're really not into politics. We're not into a whole lot of stuff that y'all think we're into. We are really, honestly, all about doing for self, accepting ourselves, and loving ourselves. That's what the whole Nation of Islam is about. We spend the majority of our time impacting the lives of other people and working to correct behaviors. The same behaviors that y'all don't like about us, we over here trying to fix them. We're not talking about y'all. We don't dislike y'all. We dislike those in general who fight against us, who hurt us, who block us. And even in our dislike, we just want to get away from you. We're not saying we're getting ready to rise up and have some big mass rebellion. You ain't never heard us say that. You never heard one of our leaders say, I don't know why this is on me today, but you never heard one of our leaders say, go out and hurt somebody from another faith or go out and kill somebody who don't look like us. Never. We've never been. I've been in the Nation of Islam since 1990, and I've never heard that. And I've been up close in professional capacities, and I never heard it. Never heard it. We're not even taught to carry as much as a penknife. And a lot of us feel like we're in danger. And we feel like maybe we do need a gun, but we don't. This ain't what we on. We are not on that. And guess what? If you meet us and you get to know us, we'll probably be some of the best friends you ever had. Because we're going to teach you. We're going to feed you. We're going to show you a way of life that maybe you don't even know. Especially now that everybody is nursing on the breast of ratchetness. We got a way out of this crazy conveyor belt of ratchetness that we're all on, conveyor belt of deception. We have a way out for everybody. See, we're here to first save ourselves and then save you too, probably, if you act right. And you don't start trying to kill us. And even this is very interesting. Even when you all go about trying to unalive us, let me say that. I already know they're gonna block this, so y'all gonna have to make this go viral. We don't respond in kind. We just don't. You don't see us taking over the Capitol. You don't see us down there with guns. We're all about our freedom here and our love here and understanding the powers of the universe and the energy that will be our weapons against anybody that comes against us. In many cases, you all have made it downright very dangerous for us out here. And even in the midst of that danger, our leaders never told us, go out and hurt y'all. Never. 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 Y'all lie on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I just got to say it. This was not part of the love yourself. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go. I know we got to go. Y'all lie on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Oh, he killed Malcolm X. He sat up there and told, even though Malcolm said some egregious things about him, he having relationships with underage girls. Do the math. Nobody was underage. He's a Muslim man. He had more than one wife. Malcolm knew that. And most people in the world know that many Muslim men have more than one wife. You can either get with that or you don't have to get with it. Now, in the Nation of Islam, we're taught that one is best. But a lot of Muslim men have more than one wife. Malcolm knew that. Malcolm has seen white Muslims before. Okay, he went on the trip with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad around the world. He knew that Muslims came in all shapes, colors, and sizes. You got Asian Muslims, European Muslims, Russian Muslims. He knew that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was on a tour, a world tour. Malcolm knew that. They saw Muslims before. You had Muslim, non-black Muslims that ate at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's dinner table. Same thing with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You have white people, Jewish people, people come to him for aid and assistance. And because he has to come out and defend us and back y'all up off of us, you use that to have dominion over us by causing us to be in certain positions that make us give up our sovereignty. But even then, even with all of that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't lay a hand on him. Gave instructions. What did the government do? Went and got some people who were gung-ho, who disagreed with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, we take a lot of slack in the Nation of Islam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because people want us to be violent, and we are not. We've never been. And so sometimes you got people even among us who want violence, and it's easy for the government to go say, oh, you disagree? You think he should do something? Well, why don't you go ahead and do it? We'll help you out. We make sure you don't get no time. Or go in there and spy on them and get the information. And then we'll help you put the propaganda together when you go do something. Find the weakness. This is real talk, brothers and sisters. And the way up out of this is that first, we have to love ourselves. And if we love ourselves first, we'll be so united that they can't come against us when they do create this propaganda. But we're not sitting up thinking about how many of y'all we can take out and how many we just don't. It's just not us. Not who we are. So stop lying, because the lie don't help you. There's still a God. And when you put that lie out into the universe, there is a power that's bigger than you that is going to respond to the lie that you're telling. And if somebody lied to you, why don't you stop and take a moment and meet us? This is why I'm so grateful to be in a position to know people from all walks of life. Take a minute to meet us. So just like my friend, I started this talk off, my friend who I accidentally hung up on because I was trying to get to a phone call, didn't give me the benefit of the doubt and say, girl, you hung up on me. So I could say, you know what? I'm so sorry. This is what was going on. You're not giving us the benefit of the doubt. And you're supposed to be spiritual by saying, you know what? Let me see who they are. Because I guarantee you, when you come check us out and you come see who we are, you're going to find people you want to partner with. You're going to find people you want to be friends with. You're going to be trying to marry us. You're going to be trying to hang out with us. You're going to be trying to invest in us. You're going to be trying to develop products and services up with us, because we really, really, truly are that magical, because we spend that much time working on ourselves. All right, y'all. I started off with first love yourself, and Allah gave me something else. I didn't even get through my whole notes, but we'll be back Thursday, inshallah. We're going to talk about dealing with clients and dealing with complicated clients and problematic clients. We're going to talk about that on Thursday. And so with that, family, today's theme, the theme for the week, is to first love yourself. Okay. Give a love offering. You guys know the Cash App, Sajdah Enterprises. That's it right there. If you got anything out of this content, if this content helps you, walk with your head held high. These people are lying on you. Be strong. Be in love with yourself. Have dominion over yourself. Respect the sovereignty of yourself. First, love yourself, and be your authentic self and accept yourself. And then it'll be very easy for those who want to love you to love you. But lead with love. I don't care how many lies they tell. I don't care what kind of propaganda they put out here. Continue to lead with love and make love your theme. Focus on that this week. All right, family. I didn't get a chance to give y'all. I know I went in today, brother Keen, Sister Keen. I ain't mean to. Okay. I didn't get to holler at y'all. Okay, peace and blessings. I see you there. Brother Ronald said, absolutely keep that spirit. Angela Muhammad said, teach. Sister Betty, she echoed the big lie. Sister Monica gave y'all the greetings. She said she's going to listen to the replay. All right, all right. I see y'all in here, Equator 7. I'm just trying to go back real quick because I'm over time. Yeah, that's right, Troy Scott. You are so right. All right, y'all. I think I gotta go. Let me get out of here. Peace and blessings, family. I love you all very, very much. Like, subscribe, share. Y'all know y'all got to make this go viral, because when the conveyor belt comes around, the propaganda conveyor belt, they're not going to put this on there. And so it's not going to be shared. So y'all got to like, subscribe, tell a friend, give a love offering, because I love you and I wish you more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. Assalamu alaikum.